Namaskar and welcome to Indian Diplomacy, show on India's national television channel Doordarshan about Indian foreign policy, India's international relations and India's rise to the highest levels in the global order. Viewers, this is a special episode where we are doing a youth dialogue on Indian foreign policy with 30 outstanding, most talented young people from various colleges and universities across India who are with me in the studio to share their thoughts on India's trajectory in international affairs. Folks, welcome to Doordarshan. How's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
Great. So, let's begin by talking about the big picture of why we do foreign policy. You know, you're all studying international relations, political science and related disciplines. Let me start off by asking one of you to come forward and talk about what is the purpose of foreign policy and why can't we just do domestic policy or just focus on internal matters? Why do we have to look out into the world at large? Why do you have to engage with the world? And what is our goal or purpose? What is the ultimate takeaway from doing foreign policy? You know, would someone want to come in and speak about that first, please? Yes, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Ananya Singh and I am from Daulatram College. So I feel that in general the purpose of foreign policy is to understand the external actors and to adjust ourselves according to the international corresponding events that are going on geopolitically and economically. Concerning that, I feel that Indian foreign policy, the main pillars of our foreign policy are internationalism, solving conflicts and Vasudev Kutumbakam. And concerning the long-term objective that I feel is, as Prime Minister Nehru has stated in the objective resolution, that India should get its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. And at present, if we talk about it, then it's most probably the permanent seat in the UNSC. And that is the long-term objective of our foreign policy. And at present, if we talk about, then we see a lot of geopolitical turmoil that is going on around the world. And that's what makes us engage more and more in the international conflicts because of our increasing stature and the role of India as a Vishwa Guru as well as a Vishwa Mitra.
Okay, good. So, viewers, our young friend from Daulatram College, Delhi University is talking about some concrete objectives that we have and that's why we pursue foreign policy. Anyone else wants to come in on the goals, long-term goals and strategies? Yes, please.
Hi, I am Bhumika Namdeo and I am from Kamala Nehru College. So the basic objective of foreign policy is to maintain its national interest and to protect its collective security. Nowadays we are looking at how India is perceiving its national interest in matters of global south, cooperate, promote, like last year in G20 presidency, how Narendra Modi's government has promoted and optimized for the global south to engage more in and upliftment of the global countries like African, Asian countries to come forward and maintain its integrity and to perform in the world stage. So maintaining peaceful coexistence among the world affairs and to compete in the ongoing development and competition among the nation states to come forward and to outline its hegemony. That's the main goal for the Indian foreign policy.
Okay. Hegemony, certainly we are not in favor of hegemony, but we want leadership, right? And we want to also pursue what you talked about, national interest. Thank you. So, viewers, national interests, of course, every nation says that they are pursuing national interests and that's the purpose. But what are our national interests? You know, that is the key thing I wanted to extract from the students. Any other voice on our purpose and objective? Have we missed out on something that has already been said? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Yuthika Namdev from Barkatullah University. So, as I will say, national interest includes two things, which is the security of a nation and prosperity. So when we talk about national interest, it includes economic development and also the heritage which we have. We have to promote our national heritage, cultural diversity on which we want to build a soft power along with our defense, because as we see the geopolitical tensions, so we cannot rely upon anyone and we have to go for multiple alignments also. After defense, we have to go for science and tech development because nowadays science and tech is a blooming sector. So when we combine all these factors, they all determine our foreign policy. And when we are pursuing our foreign policy, so it will automatically build up our national interest, which is prosperity of the nation and security.
Thank you. Good points. Our young friend from Barkatullah University is telling us that economy and security are the fundamental pillars of national interest, and certainly those are the categories under which you can see individual foreign policy actions. All of these are supposed to lead to faster economic growth, modernization of the country, for us to become a developed nation by 2047, as Prime Minister Modi has set the goal, and also security, right? So these two usually are the basic pillars of national interest. Okay, let me move to a related aspect, which is people's participation in foreign policy. And nowadays, it's not an exaggeration to say that foreign policy is not limited to just the government or the bureaucracy or the political leadership, right? All of you young people are also stakeholders in foreign policy. You are actively following, and you have a zeal to learn more and to understand foreign policy, and in a way you are also participants in this process, right? And my experience, what I'm seeing, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, is an increased interest, attention, and even I would say fascination for international affairs within our country. There were always some young people who were into it, right? But it used to be a small niche group. But now across disciplines, you don't even have to be formally studying international relations, but there's so many people who have a view and want to be seen as being involved in foreign policy, right? And why do you think that is, especially your generation? Why you all so plugged into this, what is happening globally and what is India doing on the world stage? Many people are puzzled as to what explains this. I mean, is it just our political leadership and the way they have inspired the people, or is it something else? Is it the aspirations? We cannot be contained only to domestic matters, right? We want to be number one in the world, in all spheres. So I would like to know from all of you, why you, I mean personally, and why young people like you, your tribe, why are they so enthusiastic about international affairs compared to even 10, 15 years ago, your seniors? I see that there's like a big movement building here with, thousands, if not millions of young people who are all, become aficionados of international affairs. Yes, please.
My name is Nisha Gautam. I am from Osmania University, Hyderabad. Sir, if you're saying about the Indian foreign policy and the growing interest of the youth within the country and externally also, there are many reasons behind it. First, the cooperation, the geopolitical connectivity, economic connectivity, and the growing nationalism within the country, the demography. We can see, sir, the youth bulge in our country is more interested in knowing about what is going on in the world. What is the status of India? They are very much dedicated, patriotic, and being nationalist. We can see this. And also one role is contributing is personality factor of our leadership, which is creating the base. And these are all the reasons.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyone else wants to come in?
I am Manugar from Jawaharlal University, and I think there is an increased fervor regarding the spread of international relations among the youth. There are different reasons. Some of the reasons that I think are, firstly, there is an increased demographic dividend of India. We are in our peak of demography, and most of the people are interested because there is an increased middle class. There is a burgeoning middle class which is quite interested to go abroad to buy foreign products, and also to there is an aspirational youth which wants to have career progressions outside India in the foreign countries. So if a president is elected who is anti-immigrant with an anti-immigrant sentiment, then definitely it would affect their career progression and their choices. Also, I feel that there is a rise of social media where there is an information outflow and the communication is very easy. So any event that happens all around the world is quite accessible to people, and they have know-how of the event and why it is happening and what is the event about. Also, the next reason would be globalization. Globalization has led to deterritorialization and the borders are blurring. Therefore, there are certain issues like which we can call as problems without passports, like climate change, artificial intelligence. These issues cannot be tackled at a national level and require international cooperation. So any person sitting in part of India would require to know about these issues and about international relations to contribute in it.
Thank you so much. Our friend Manu from Jaipur, specially able student, studies at JNU, has actually hit the nail on the head and is telling us about the big macro structural reasons why what happens far away matters to all of us. And talking of that, our External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar often talks about the linkages between developments in different corners of the world and our daily lives, right? And he is one of the proponents for popularizing understanding and study of international affairs in our country, and that is why foreign policy has become such a favorite topic. Manu was also mentioning the social media, and this is also, of course, there's a lot of disinformation and unsubstantiated opinions and such things and rumors that go around, but still the public square, the virtual public square is where a lot of the debates are going on, and I think that's also drawing in and pulling a lot of young people into this. Let me talk about leadership for a moment. It's already been mentioned in the show. Now clearly in the Narendra Modi era, there's a much greater emphasis on our role in the world, for us to be a leading power in the world and all that, right? And that is also a kind of like an ambition that is probably spurring a lot of young people to follow world affairs. And it's not only when Prime Minister is visiting abroad or when External Affairs Minister is visiting abroad. A presidential election, as we just heard, may make a difference. An attempted coup d'etat in South Korea may make a difference. Attacks on shipping in the Red Sea may make a difference in our lives in a very material and concrete way. And to see the connections is important, right? So the political leadership in particular, I want to come to that. Now, Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar have in many ways led this movement for foreign policy to be mainstreamed in our country. It used to be like I said, a niche area for only a few, but now it's gone beyond the elite. And when we hosted the G20 summit, the way the whole country got involved in it, thousands of young people were participating in so many of the G20 events. We could see how it became a broad-based, it was called a people's G20, and it's also a kind of a people's foreign policy that we are seeing today, right? So I want someone to come in and talk about our leadership and what you think that they have said or done in the realm of international affairs that has brought you closer to the field or has inspired you. Can we hear some voices? Yes, please.
Hello everybody, I'm Prerna from Delhi University. When we talk about leadership in India's foreign policy, it shapes the Indian foreign policy or diplomacy in different ways, like how we set our priorities towards, how we set our goals, how we put our thoughts at high level diplomatic, on high level global platforms. This government, especially when we talk about Prime Minister Narendra Modi or S. Jaishankar, has really put forward few things which were traditionally were our principles, but it has been more concretized in this
Better
government.
articulated,
Better articulated, like our strategic autonomy diplomacy that we talk about. More often when we talk about strategic autonomy, we are in a position to put our things on the table more concretely, like whether it's climate change or whether we talk about on World Trade organizations, our agriculture subsidies, etc. When we talk about these things, we are more in the position to prioritize our national interest over getting into any block or getting into any taking any sides. We are doing that tightrope situation, and we are very neatly managing that. Secondly, this government is as our friend also highlighted, that the digital economy that this government has focused, it literally ingrained the Indian foreign policy, the mindset into India's youth or the middle class households. Now everybody understands and knows that how it affects our domestic decisions, what is happening in the and this has happened because this government has really focused, or the leadership has really focused on making it accessible to the normal citizens, the citizens who are really not involved in the higher diplomacy, etc. People now knows. Other thing is that this like diaspora, when we talk about diaspora, this government also focused upon the diaspora, which is a huge thing, because India is one of the countries from where the people are like Indians are like everywhere in the world, and this makes a huge change. When we talk about on a macro level, this makes a huge change. Other thing this that we talk about the leadership is like how we are prioritizing, like we have seen the G20 presidentship that we hold. It was a great event for a country like India, like who is developing but aspiring to be a leading power. We promote the peace and stability in the region, and we have been promoting peace and stability through our each and every step that we are taking, whether in domestic policy or whether in foreign policy. So the government is highlighting upon a lot of it is lingering upon the principles that we have already from the independence we have vouched on, but it's also evolving. The foreign policy is also evolving with time. So all these things have happened because the leadership has literally set priorities that where we want to stand as a leading power. So
thank you. So friends, our young participant from Delhi University is talking about articulation of interests and also setting priorities and bringing more stakeholders into the formal and informal policy making processes. All these are happening in India. So these are big transformative period. I want someone to comment on Dr. Jaishankar also, because he has created a certain sense of pride and dignity to our diplomacy, and he is not just popular within the country but globally, and he has really elevated the discourse of what should be a foreign minister to a much higher level, and the knowledge that he brings to the table. So anyone wants to talk about the Jaishankar effect? Can I have yes please?
I am Ayush Dwivedi, an economics graduate from Sreeram College of Commerce. Sir, talking about the effect of Narendra Modi or S. Jaishankar, I would say they both are of the same era, because S. Jaishankar was the foreign secretary from 2015. What S. Jaishankar actually brought to the table was, as foreign secretary as well as the foreign affairs minister, the strategic clarity that India has. India understood that we will be following realism, we will be following real politics, we believe in the multipolar world, we believe in multi-alignment, and it did not just theorize that, but it became affirmative in its actions also, be it Russia-Ukraine war, be it the West Asia. So this is something which was not present in the Indian diplomatic circles before. They made the foreign policy very people-centric, be it the Prasar Bharati Divas, which tried to engage the foreign diaspora and the NRIs. They tried to inculcate more Indianness of the Bharat way, which he has also mentioned in his book. So he tried to create a third pole of the world, that is the multipolar world, taking the discourse of the global south, trying to have multiple stakeholders in the Indian policy circles, and then their personal charisma. The way he tackles the Western media, it for the first time show that India is also able to take a stance. And why is S. Jaishankar so famous? It's just not because of some specific policies that has taken, but India is really bringing the global change. For example, India when went for multipolarity, when India talks about multi-alignment, it also promotes the interests of the global south and also the Asia as a whole. We can see that on the similar lines of India, Saudi Arabia, it also took the inspiration, and it's also now part of the BRICS simultaneously in having a good relations with America. So India as a whole is just not the rise of the India as a nation. It's the rise of the global south, which in which we have been able to communicate to the world, and people are very optimistic of India with what the steps that we have taken in the Indo-Pacific theater of the world and trying to expand the Indian activity. So as Jaishankar, as an individual, as an intellect, he is very popular among students. His public-centric approach, his level of strategic clarity, affirmative actions over the issues have made foreign policy at the heart of the Indians.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think he has had an enormous, in fact, I would say, transformative change that we are seeing in young people getting involved in foreign policy. A lot of it we owe to External Affairs Minister and the way he has been able to bring the world to India and take India to the world, as they say, big changes. Okay, so far we have spoken about, the generic aspect, but let me get into the crux of the policy matters now. We have been guided by some doctrines historically, and during Cold War period, it was primarily known as non-alignment. That was like the fundamental doctrine, right? Kind of equidistance from the existing big power centers or the superpowers. Recently, Prime Minister Modi, during one of his overseas visits, mentioned that the era when we were equally distant from existing power centers is over. Now we are equally close, and that, so in other words, you are saying that from non-alignment we have moved towards a multi-alignment, and that I want to engage with you on this, about this multi-alignment. Is this the best possible strategy that we have adopted, our doctrine? Because there are still some people, for example in India, in the left, who say that non-alignment is still viable and we should go for non-alignment, meaning essentially now we have China and the US as the two great powers, we should be equidistant between both of them, right? So, but increasingly the government view and also I think the public is in favor of multi-alignment, and I think the strategic clarity aspect, some of you are talking about strategic clarity, that is also linked to this. If you have strategic clarity, I think non-alignment wouldn't work. So let's talk about multi-alignment. Let me ask someone who hasn't spoken. Yes, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Said Faisal from Cluster University, Srinagar. Here I would like to highlight how our foreign policy has evolved from a non-aligned to what we call as a multi-aligned approach. In the initial years of our independence, we went with, we can say, clear non-alignment. It was more of an idealist approach, but by 1970s we moved towards realpolitik, what my friend mentioned here, realpolitik, and towards diplomatic realism. And afterwards we moved with our nuclear doctrine, and now since we have entered after the disintegration of the USSR, the world has become, initially it was unipolar, but now we talk about a multipolar centered world, wherein we have to engage at different bilateral engagements. We are engaging at different power centers, and that's how we can see our path in the path of a global rise. As our External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has mentioned in the UNGA, that the era of Amrit Kaal has in itself, it is but logical for India to be a global superpower. So to be a global power, we can say. In this very context, the multi-dimensional approach needs to be focused, and that's how we are going to move forward.
Thank you. More voices. Can we get more voices on multi-alignment, please?
Hello sir, this is Sakshi from NMIMS Mumbai, and firstly I would say thank you for having us here and letting the young voices speak. So again, the multi-alignment, I feel that what the government is trying to do is to be fine-tuned to the realities of the day. So we are no longer in that era of, say, the Cold War years, wherein we need to take sides, or perhaps as we went ahead with the non-alignment, we need to understand the realities of the day. We need to understand what the global, all the different actors are, how they are placed, and how we can place ourselves. So that is how the leadership under Narendra Modi ji and Jaishankar, who has been a career diplomat, and he understands the technical and the nuances behind the foreign policy making. So that is something wherein we would like to project ourselves, wherein we work like how the External Affairs Minister has said often, to work or engage with countries that have convergences with our similar convergences with, and then take forward our interests. Because at the core of any foreign policy making is like the national interest. We need to see where our interest lies, be it in economic sphere or the soft power diplomacy and trade and other negotiations, also strategic balancing. We need to see where we are placing ourselves and then go along accordingly with the minded partners and the players. And in this way we can project ourselves and what our goals are, how we want to see ourselves. Like 2047 is the landmark year wherein we have a lot of targets set that we want to reach there and then emerge as a major power where we can negotiate well. So that is why multiple alignment, I feel, is something which we can go forward, and then that is essential so that we can take our policies matter at an international level and we can emerge as a major player.
Thank you, thank you. Viewers, our friend from Narsi Monji in Mumbai, she's come all the way, is talking about how national interests and also the global configuration make us more inclined towards multi-alignment. So we have friends in different camps which are actually highly divided and opposed to each other, but we have friends in different camps, and India has been often seen as a net geopolitical gainer because of this ability to straddle the divides and to have strategic partnerships with multiple countries. Talking of strategic partnerships, we have some very, very strong bilateral partnerships, and some of you have read my book, I'm sure, Friends. Now, how well have we been able to extract the gains or the benefits from these partners, and you think this is critical for our rise, isn't it? I mean, that's what my argument has been. So let's talk a bit about our core bilateral partnerships before we go to multilateralism, and how important do you think this is for our rise, and why? I mean, you can have why not confine it to just like 2 or 3? Why do we have 7 to 10 or 15? Actually, we have 36 strategic partnerships, out of whom I would say 10 to 15 are very, very vital for our rise, right? So let's talk about bilateralism, yeah, and how well are we doing this? Prime ministerial attention, high level visits, we do a lot of this with these key partners to maintain these relationships, right? Why is it necessary for a rising power which can become a great power one day or a leading power? Why is it so necessary to invest in bilateralism and strategic bilateral? I'm not talking of just general, every country has bilateral relations with others, right? But we're talking about strategic bilateralism, which is economic, military, geopolitical, those sort of things. Why are we doing this, and can you give an example, or let me hear from some of you on bilateralism, please. Yes, please.
Hello everyone, I am Janvi from Arya Mahila College, Varanasi. As we are talking about bilateral strategic partnership, that India is pursuing more upon a comprehensive strategic partnership. For example, USA, we are having like a civil nuclear deal, and India is now also a part of mineral security partnership, and we are also doing critical emerging technologies, which we can do bilaterally more and focus more on critical technologies, which is a part of like 4th industrial revolution. And we are doing strategic partnership with UAE, like on trade exports, like people diaspora, etc. We are doing it. We are having strategic partnership with Japan, with doing the parting on educations, etc. We are doing it with Australia as well, getting more security on Indo-Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you. So, viewers, there are a lot of examples that the students are giving of what we are doing to make our bilateral partnerships more strategic. Any more examples and thoughts you have on bilateral partnerships?
Hello sir, my name is Aryan Singh, student from JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. So far discussion has been on varied aspects, strategic, economical, but the one aspect that I firmly believe has been missed upon, and that is science and diplomacy. Right, so being a technical graduate, I'll give some insight on this. Now, bilateral agreements and all the agreements so far that has been taken on is one part of the coin. right? And the other part is the multilateral. Now, one cannot exist without the other. Now, the simple example is, for example, if we take the economical sector, why India is not favoring the multilateral approach in economical sector? Because if we understand the core economics, then we will be able to understand that it is more beneficial for India to have bilateral agreements rather than going into an agreements where multilateral parties are there. That is the very reason why Brexit happened. Although that didn't turn out in their favor, but that is the idea that India has taken upon, and the lesson that India has taken upon, that it is better to follow the approach of bilateralism rather than multilateralism. Now, when we talk about science and diplomacy, right? So if we look at the history, let's take an example of Russian Federation here. Then we got the cryogenic engines from Russia, right? That could have not been happened with any multilateral treaty till date, right? And that is a clear example of how multilateral have its own benefits, bilateral has their own benefits. Now, in order to maximize the both, we have to be very strategically placed. We have to be very strategically with respect to our approaches and with respect to our moves in the international platform, right? In one of the recent interviews that has been given by our Honorable External Affairs Minister with Mr. Florentino of US, he clearly stated that India is following the multilateral approach, and he used the very peculiar phrase which was multi-vector approach. Now, most people would understand multi-vector approach is like simply multi-directional approach. Well, if you understand the from a technical perspective, you'll be able to understand multi-vector approach doesn't always means the negation of all the direction. Sometimes there is one direction, but that is not clearly visible in it, right? So we have to understand this basic, the essence of the Indian diplomacy, that there is no specific direction, but there is multiple direction that has been followed.
Very interesting, fascinating scientific take on diplomatic discourse. Multi-vector is also a term that we are using. Multi-alignment, of course, we have already discussed that. And bilateral partnerships matter. So I think our students here are in agreement that we are doing a lot more proactively with our main partners at the bilateral level. And indeed, even in trade, in economic diplomacy, with the larger multilateral process breaking down, there is a greater emphasis on one-on-one free trade agreements, or what you call preferential trade agreements, right? And we have done so with Australia, with the UAE. These are most recent ones, and we are negotiating more with some European countries. So yes, I think one-on-one has its benefits, and that is a critical aspect. Dr. Jaishankar called it a diplomacy 101, meaning it's like a very basic thing which every country does, but we are trying to do it in a more strategic way to fulfill our broader aspirations. So far, we haven't spoken about multilateralism. I mean, it's been mentioned, and after the G20 presidency, suddenly there was a huge focus on our role as a convener of many countries around a single table. You started hearing how we are a bridge builder between geopolitical east and geopolitical west, global north, global south, and parallel to that we have been holding the voice of the global south summits, right? So multilateralism, which is engaging with several countries, is also in vogue. Although maybe not for very core strategic goals, but to show our leadership and to show our global citizenship as do-gooders, and to also be able to cover certain regions. If there are 20 countries in a region, it's better to have a group summit with all 15 or 20 of them rather than one-on-ones, because it also saves time, right, and effort. Prime Minister or External Affairs Minister or President or Vice President cannot go to each and every country in the world, right? So, for example, the Pacific Islands, right? Large number of countries, small island nations, we do a single summit. That's a multilateral type of approach, right? So we also do those with the European Union. We have one with ASEAN grouping. We have with the African Union, and so on. So for regional approach also, multilateralism is good. So let's talk about multilateralism and our accomplishments there. Why have we been so successful? See, because generally there is a notion that if a country is growing or has become very powerful, it doesn't need multilateral approach. It can either go unilateral or just do these core strategic bilaterals. Why do we even need multilaterals? And why are we investing in so much diplomatic energy and time and effort into multilaterals. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. My name is Trishika. I am from Narayana Degree College, Hyderabad. I think, as you rightly mentioned, when we talk about G20, we've always used a word called Global South. We want to become a leading power rather than becoming a superpower. Our foreign policy is such a way that we not only stand up for ourselves and talk about our national interest, but also we take the nations along with us to stand up for themselves and speak about them. I think G20 is such a big win for us because it's definitely not a zero-sum game that we've seen in past 2 decades. It's definitely a win-win for everyone, because when we see the visuals when the African Union had joined in the G20, it's really overwhelming. Overwhelming, that's because they found a voice to express themselves in a platform like G20. And also when we try to talk about multilateralism, as our friends mentioned, that our foreign policy is such a very people-centric approach. We are very clear about what our interests are. We are very clear about what we are bringing to the table. And we are very clear about the capabilities and potential that we're going to generate. And not now, but in the future. And that's why our Prime Minister, talking about the Amrit Kaal in 2047 makes it even more important. And when we talk about our foreign policy is such a way which emanates civilizational exceptionalism and strategic pragmatism. As you mentioned, that our foreign policy is proactive. Our foreign policy is flexible, proactive, and we can change according to the time and date so that we can serve our national interest and take a lot of small island nations along with us. And that's why we not only mention that we are a Vishwaguru, but we also want to become a Vishwamitra. And that's why our Prime Minister Modi had also said that Vikasit along with Virasat, which means growth along with embracing our cultures.
Thank you. Viewers, our friend from Hyderabad is reflecting on this multilateralism and why we did the G20 in the grand scale that we did, and why we continue to actually support the G20 process as part of the Troika and beyond in the coming years. In fact, many of the landmark decisions and consensus points that were reached during Indian G20 presidency are now being taken forward by Brazil and South Africa and the United States, who will succeed. So, yeah, and it does enhance and burnish our soft power, isn't it? Anyone else wants to come in on multilateralism? Can I? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I am Jaya from Amrit College, University of Delhi, and I want to highlight that when we were in the Cold War era, we had the non-alignment movement, but after the disintegration of USSR, the world has shifted to a liberal world order where we have to be pragmatic and we have to be strategic about our foreign policies and even the internal policies that affect the foreign policies. When we talk about this, I want to state a quotation that there are no free lunches in international politics. So we have to be very pragmatic and we have to go for multilateral approach so that we can get our national security, our national prosperity. And I guess that this is the most important thing which our charismatic leaders are focusing upon. Our Prime Minister also said that he's going up with the policies like Act East policy, then with the Neighborhood First policy. And these are very important things which make that India doesn't want to establish its hegemony, but it wants to be a leader which also works for the and which also becomes a voice for the neighboring countries and the South, for the global South countries.
Thank you. Our friend from Maitri College, Delhi University, viewers, is saying that by adopting a multilateral, we are also able to cover and we have larger, broader policies for a whole region or sub-region. You can only adopt a multilateral. You can't just do one-on-one when we say, okay, Act East policy. There's some 20 countries east of Asia, east of the Indian coast, from Bay of Bengal further, which all, we need to engage in a systematic way, as in with a broader strategy, right, for the whole set of countries. And for that, we need multilateral approaches. Okay, good. So, viewers, so far we have spoken about some of the nitty-gritty and also the, the involvement of people in foreign policy. But as we go towards the end of the show, I want to also bring in more voices from this special audience of college and university students from across India to talk about this Amrit Kaal period that we all mentioned and has been referred to here, these next 25 years approximately until 2027 are a big, historic moment in the rise of this nation, right? And that is what we are trying to galvanize the society so that everybody contributes to it. And for this, it's going to be very critical that young people are part of the movement to take the nation forward in many dimensions. So when it comes to foreign policy in the Amrit Kaal, for us to become a leading power, obviously we have got a strategy, we've got a public support for what the government is doing, and increasingly our image on the world stage is also growing as a provider of solutions, right? Like during the G20 and so many other forums, we have come up with innovative ideas to global challenges like climate change, war and terrorism, all the big issues of our time. So in this Amrit Kaal, next 23 years approximately until 2047, what is the trajectory of the country that you are seeing? I mean, we are all optimistic and bullish. Many people around the world are saying that India's catch up with China and the US is not going to be as long as was initially thought about, in terms of overall economic and military strength and even soft power. It may not even have to wait until 2047, maybe 10-15 years we can achieve this. So because our economy is growing faster and we have got a better demographic advantage, all these things. So what is the trajectory you are seeing? You're all very young people and you will be still in the prime of your lives when you see India reaching that level, right? So let's talk about this period and what more we need to do to get there to the top, equal to China, equal to the United States. What do you see we should be doing? Yes, please.
My name is Vaishnavi and I'm from Ashoka University, Sonipat. What I believe India is doing very well is in terms of defense, it's in terms of trade, in terms of milking its demographic advantage. India is on the right path. But currently in the 21st century, there are many other problems that the world faces, as we heard, problems without passports. So India needs to work more on digital trade, on artificial intelligence, on climate finance, on green transition, and work more on its energy securities. These are problems that we see in the 21st century and problems we probably might be working on as students who are studying international relations. So I believe that is very important. And as we spoke about multi-alignment, with its advantages also come lots of disadvantages. It is possible that we do face contradictions when it comes to rival powers who are our friends. It is possible that we might face a credibility issue because people might think of India as an unreliable partner. So it's very important that India invests in a lot of skillful diplomacy, because only time will tell, and a lot of strategic goals will tell if multi-alignment does bode well for India. So it's important that we are very careful and we tread this path very carefully and very lightly.
Thank you. Good point. Our friend from Ashoka University viewers is also warning about being seen as unreliable because we have got a foot in different camps and we may not be also fully committed to only one partner, right? Because that's the whole idea of partnerships. We are not part of any alliance system. So in the years to come, that is something we have to tread carefully. Okay, more voices on the goal ahead, the path ahead to becoming a leading power in the next 25 years. Can I hear from someone who hasn't spoken? Yes, please.
My name is Anupam and I am from Magadha University. As far as this Amrit Kaal is concerned and the vision that our visionary Prime Minister has envisaged, this word has Vedic roots, and literally it means that it is an auspicious period to do something great. And coincidentally, it has also striken that around 2050, India is projected to be the third biggest economy, and it is around $40 trillion economy. China will be a little bit ahead, 60. The gap between India and US in terms of economy at that time will be not that much, but between India and China will be quite a lot. Currently, the situation is that India is fourth in terms of military power, but in the overall national power, it is not in top 10. This is being actively you can say reduced by the proactive diplomacy that our foreign minister is doing, because the gap is not of military. The hard power is there. We are already on the 4th spot, but we are not in top 10, and that is being done. In the Human Development Index, we are at the 134th spot. That is very bad. It can also be taken ahead. We can be more successful in improving our rank by proactive diplomacy in foreign policy. Currently, it is on right track, but we need to do some more. Youth need to engage more, and the 2.5 front wars that we are all thinking. It is not 2.5 front war. It is actually two front war. One is China and Pakistan combined, and second is internal. They are taking it in a little bit wrong way, according to me. So if we improve these indicators, if we improve the internal and external securities dimension, and if we improve our soft policies towards economy, if we improve these two things, then we are poised to take the lead as the third biggest economy, just after China and USA. Thanks.
Thank you. A friend from Magad University is talking about the need to also watch out for internal challenges and threats, and of course they may or may not be major impediments, but we have to have a stable and a unified country, right? Not a fragmented one. So yeah, there are elements within India that do not want us to rise, and that's unfortunate. So we'll have to overcome all those forces. Okay, more voices on what we should be doing going forward. Anything that we should prioritize more in the next 20 years to ensure we are up there to do great things, as our friend just said, in the Amrit Kaal, for India to do great things. Yes, please.
Hello, myself Alexi, and I did my master's from IIT Kanpur. So when I see India, as the Britishers said, that India is a jewel in the crown, and the location and the strategic location that India holds, it's a global hotspot connecting Indian Ocean with the South China Sea. So its location is very much strategic. And going forward as to how we can increase or maybe move forward in the Amrit Kaal 2047, India is already on the right track. And we have seen in G20 last year, India has gone for fuels in the terms of biofuels for the climate change, to help combat the climate change. And also ISA, that is currently the Indian initiative, the solar alliances, international solar alliances. And also India has taken initiative in the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So we are not just seeing about what is there in the politically, but we are also going the factors which are actually affecting the world as a whole. So, and one area that I think is to be taken care of is probably the science and technology, and the technology advancements that has to be taken care of, and more and more GDP contribution should be given for R&D especially, because that is one sector which is, I think, very low. It's roughly around 2% of the GDP. So for R&D sector, that is one area that India definitely needs to come forward to. And regarding the defense technologies, we already have our own very own indigenous Akash anti-missile system. So when those things are coming forward, so we will be able to tackle the defense that will relate it to the internal security as well as the external security, and also the climate factor. And currently India is around $3.89 million trillion. So it can move definitely forward with all the bilateral and trilateral and multilateral arrangements that we are having. It is predicted to move forward again. So these are the things, especially the R&D technologies, along with the media. I think the responsible media is the one factor, that's so that people are not wrongly informed, but they are aware with the correct informations. That is one sector India should look forward to. And I think digitally they are doing those data protection and the digitally how people are using it. That is the sector.
Thank you. Yeah, good points indeed. News media and disinformation again refers to, and some of it is also supported by inimical actors from abroad, who want to sully our image and to create an impression that India is going backwards. So there is this, the branding also of the nation on the world stage that matters. Okay, more voices. I would like more who haven't spoken to come in on Amrit Kaal and what more we should be doing. Yes, please.
Hello everybody, my name is Adarsh. I'm currently doing my masters at Sciences Po in Paris. So India is currently doing really good in the terms of economic factors, then the defense factor, and currently we are a very progressive nation towards the manufacturing thing as well. Everybody is seeing India as a manufacturing hub in the future for the chips which are being included in the cars and the phones. And then we are seeing companies like French companies like Airbus coming in. They will be collaborating with Tata and making their aircrafts in India. So that is something good.
Can I get in last voices? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. My name is Sharanika. I am a graduate from Miranda House. So I think to sustain the Amrit Kaal or to prosper in the Amrit Kaal, India need to be ready for the setbacks it has to take in the coming years, because we have seen 2020, 2019, 2021 were the years of COVID where the economic sense of India has been very it was not gradual as well. Somewhere it went very low, and to recover that it has been taking while. And till now we are not we are in the gradual sense of growing. So if India need to be ready for the situations like this in the future years, and because it is uncertain in the global world, that what comes next is very uncertain right away. So India needs to be ready for the setbacks and be prepared for the crisis that are overcoming. So
excellent. Can I get in more voices, please? Yes, please.
Sir, I'm Muskan from IIT KGP, and like my friend emphasized on internal factors we have to improve, and our goal of becoming a wish guru, as well as the uncertainty that we might face. So in that context, I would like to say we should work on forming a new knowledge order for the world. That is what India should take the lead in, because the current order that is led by capitalism and the growth it has given us, it is not sustainable. It is not something that we want in the future. So India, along with the other developing world, which is the South, the global South, we can form a new knowledge order. That is what I believe. Like the profit chain, that needs to be improved. Instead of development led by industries, it can be development led by cooperatives. So similar instances, and this knowledge that we will create, it is not that we need a lot of money for it. We just need critical thinking minds and a few entrepreneurs who are who do not have capitalist values but have values of giving towards the society. So that is my
great. Yeah, we could offer an alternative model. Can we have some voices, please? Last voice.
This is Nikhil Kumar from Banaras Hindu University. Sir, if we talk about the achievements and goal of the Indian foreign policy with respect to Amrit Kaal, India wants to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. So yes, we have a demographic dividend advantages, but it can add more weightage when we started upskilling our people. It will provide an advantageous position. Second thing, India want to become a net security provider in the Pacific Ocean. So we have to engage with the other regional power also. For example, if you want to provide security development in the northern eastern region, we should adopt cooperation with the sub-regional approach. For example, we should provide autonomy to the northern eastern border to engage with the multiple players also, like Myanmar, Bangladesh, and also we should engage with them. Then only we can achieve our goal, that is a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Additionally, if you talk about the economic cooperation, it cannot be done only bilateral. We should go a regional approach while dealing with the economic approach. And second thing, we can add for the secure, for example, we are becoming a self-reliant country. We have opened FDI in very like defense. We have extended our export in the defense sector. So we should also cooperate with other people, like we have provided missiles to the Philippines to counter China. It is a very good approach. And second thing, we should adopt like approach. We will become a self-evaluative. We always evaluate our policy. How can we become more better to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047?
Thank you. Last voice, can I get you in, please?
Hi, sir. I'm Yukti Kapil from Miranda House. So when we talk about our voyage to becoming a Viksit Bharat, so to say, so I think we have to look at the leakages that we have. Just like my friend mentioned, we have some leakages in our dividend, in our demographic dividend. So I think India as the coming to be a most populous country, or it is now, we have to identify where we have leakages as our most young and skilled personalities. We have to identify those person and make them plugged into our economy, so that we don't have unemployed people left in an economy, rather becoming a facilitator in our voyage to becoming a more developed country.
Right, yeah. So some of the participants, viewers are talking about internal and domestic problems that need to be fixed. And of course, it goes without saying that you can only be as strong in the global arena as you are comfortable and solid at home. So there is a linkage with domestic and international. We call these intermestic issues. But overall, the takeaway for me from engaging with this young audience is there is an air of optimism about India's rise, and the foreign policy is on the right track. But our young audience also suggested a number of fixes and also new domains in which we need to invest our energies and our attention more. And science and tech, for example, has now become a major area for geopolitical contestation, with people in different camps vying against each other to take a lead in this field. So this is also an area where we need to get our act together, and so many other things. So let me conclude by simply saying that with this discussion, we have been able to come up with some vignettes of what young India wants and what young India is seeing as is in front of their eyes, what is already happening with regard to India's role in the world, and also their aspirations and expectations going forward. And we have to pay heed and attention to their thoughts and views, because like we said at the start, foreign policy cannot just be left to the elites. It's a people's movement now in India, and generally history shows when a country rises to the top, the attention of the public on global issues also simultaneously increases. So it is natural that young Indians like this audience and millions of others who are watching and who are into these issues, they are all aspiring for India to be a leading power. And for us to get there, we need their energies, we need their contributions. Prime Minister Modi has said that this is also the Kartavya Kaal, meaning that this is the time for all of us to perform our duties and responsibilities and obligations to the country. And without that, we are not going to be able to reach, because ultimately it's the social energies of all these young people that will add up into something big or something great. As one of the participants said, this is the time to do great things for India in the Amrit Kaal, and we can do that. Our foreign policy can reach the peak. I think the peak is still ahead of us, and we will all need to work towards making that happen. So thank you folks, thank you, keep up the Josh, and we expect great things from all of you individually and also collectively as young Indians, so that these conversations add up to something bigger in formal and informal ways, where you are contributing to the rise of this country to the next level. You are contributing to the foreign policy. We want you all to believe that you are stakeholders and full participants in this journey of the nation's rise. Thank you. Best wishes to all of you. And viewers, do keep your mind on young Indians. You often don't hear their voices on the foreign policy discourse, but we have tried to bring it to all of you, so that you realize that the next generation is preparing for India to take the lead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Until then, take care.